President Trump declares U.S. victory over Iran but rules out early withdrawal.
Crossing the Strait of Hormuz. Vessel carrying 63,000 tons of LNG arrives safely in Vietnam.
Fishermen adapt to rising fuel prices.
Hello, so good to see you again in today's news by Nghệ An Press and Broadcasting Agency. I'm Hoàng Yên, and here we go, the first step of the show. On March 11, President Donald Trump declared that the United States has won the war against Iran, yet the U.S. will remain engaged to complete its mission.
And then after midnight hammer, and then we left.
We have won, the U.S. President stated during a campaign-style rally in Hebron, Kentucky. President Trump praised the U.S. military for significantly weakening Iran's forces but expressed opposition to a swift end to the conflict. Meanwhile, U.S. intelligence assesses that Iran's leadership is not at risk of imminent collapse, despite nearly 2 weeks of continuous bombing by the U.S. and Israel. On March 12, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian outlined 3 conditions to end the war: recognition of Tehran's legitimate rights, war reparations, and firm international guarantees against future acts of aggression.
Vietnamese Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính had just signed an official dispatch number 21 regarding the management of rice production and consumption in the new context, as the purchase prices in the Mekong Delta show signs of decline.
The Prime Minister requested the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development to take the lead and coordinate closely with ministries, sectors, and localities to monitor production closely and promptly remove technical barriers to expand export markets. They must connect businesses to ensure the consumption of commercial rice for farmers at optimal costs. The Ministry of Industry and Trade boosts trade promotion, diversifying markets, and inspecting purchasing activities to prevent speculation and price manipulation. The State Bank of Vietnam needs to direct credit institutions to allocate capital at reasonable interest rates, creating favorable conditions for businesses to borrow for the purchase and temporary storage of rice. Associations and focal enterprises should prioritize purchasing rice in key production areas, contributing to food security and the stabilization of people's lives.
A liquefied natural gas, or LNG, carrier transporting about 63,000 tons of fuel from the Middle East just arrived at Vietnam's Thị Lai LNG terminal, helping strengthen the country's energy supply amidst rising demand.
According to Petro Vietnam Gas Corporation, PV Gas, the vessel, Phat Al Khair LNG, carried around 63,000 tons of LNG, equivalent to approximately 87 million standard cubic meters of natural gas. The cargo was arranged by PV Gas and loaded on February 26 before departing the Middle East. The vessel traveled through the Strait of Hormuz before military tensions involving Iran escalated in the region, and later arrived safely at the Thị terminal after completing its international voyage. The LNG shipment will be regasified at the Thị LNG terminal to supply fuel for power plants, contributing to ensuring fuel availability for Vietnam's national power system as energy demand continues to grow.
Upcoming are some updated news.
The Provincial People's Committee has just issued a decision approving the Supporting Industry Development Program for the 2026 to 2030 period, aiming to transform this sector into a foundational industry with advanced technological capabilities. The program's specific objective is to support 30 local enterprises, striving for 10 units to become direct suppliers for manufacturing and assembly corporations of finished products. Additionally, the province will provide high-quality human resource training for 20 enterprises and facilitate the application and transfer of new technologies for 10 enterprises. During this stage, the province will focus heavily on investment promotion, supporting businesses in adopting modern management systems and conducting product quality testing according to international standards.
According to the Nghệ Provincial Police Detention Center, preparations for the election of deputies to the 16th National Assembly and People's Councils at all levels for the 2026 to 2031 term have been completed. Following a review, there are currently more than 1,100 individuals in temporary detention or custody who will exercise their right to vote at the Provincial Police Detention Center and its 3 subordinate sub-camps located in Vinh Phu Ward, Tai Hoa Ward, and Du Luong Commune. To guarantee voters' rights, a polling station has been set up within the detention center. The election organization has been detailed in a specific plan tailored to actual conditions, ensuring the voting process is conducted safely and in full compliance with regulations.
The World Health Organization, WHO, has urgently delivered 5 vials of botulinum antitoxin to Da Nang City to support the treatment of 3 patients in critical conditions suspected of botulinum poisoning. According to WHO, botulinum antitoxin is a rare drug that helps stop the toxin from causing further damage and can significantly improve patients' chances of recovery if administered promptly. After being alerted by Vietnamese health authorities, WHO activated an emergency mechanism across its country office in Vietnam. The regional office and headquarters to identify available antitoxin from the global stockpile in Geneva and arrange immediate transport to Vietnam.
Due to the impact of the conflict in the Middle East, global and domestic fuel prices have risen sharply over the past week. In particular, the price of DO 0.05, the primary fuel for fishing vessels, has surged, significantly increasing the cost of each sea voyage. Facing cost pressures and the fear of losses, many fishermen are struggling to find ways to stay at the sea and maintain their livelihoods. More in the story today.
After the Lunar New Year, several vessels headed out to sea, but seafood catches remained low and prices stayed cheap. Additionally, with fuel prices rising continuously over just 5 days, fishermen are facing significant challenges.
Fuel prices have nearly doubled, making it very easy for fishermen to incur losses. Previously, we received 50% of the income after splitting it, but now that share has dropped to only 30%.
Fuel prices have increased approximately 1.6 times following 2 domestic price adjustments. As diesel prices approach the threshold of nearly 31,000 Vietnamese dongs per liter, fishermen are highly susceptible to losses when heading out to sea. However, most large vessels are funded by bank loans with monthly interest payments. If these boats stay docked, owners find it even harder to manage the funds needed to cover those interest costs. Consequently, faced with these challenges, fishermen have been seeking various solutions to minimize expenses for their sea voyages. My family owns a boat, but my husband has to work alongside friends because he's afraid of incurring losses at sea due to high fuel prices. However, he still has to go to sea to earn enough to pay the bank interest.
We will extend our voyages at sea and try to minimize costs as much as possible. For example, by reducing the number of light bulbs and operating on a single engine.
High fuel prices are impacting various production activities and the daily lives of citizens. For fishermen, going to sea is their sole livelihood. Each vessel setting sail not only creates jobs for 10 to 15 workers but also provides employment for dozens, or even hundreds, of fishery logistics personnel. Therefore, despite the numerous challenges, fishermen's proactive efforts to find cost-cutting solutions will contribute to maintaining their livelihoods and ensuring sustainable maritime economic development.
The last story to send it our news today. Thank you so much for your attention. Goodbye for now, and thank you for listening.